When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll tour. When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like
Hey, Tyler.
Hey, Piet. How we be
Brett,
doing?
how we doing today?
I'm going to be honest. I'm fucking hurting, bro. I'm 29, but I'm like an old 29. My hips out of whack.
Same.
Next thing you know, I'm going to have crutches. I'm going to be walking around like my mom. No offense. I love you, Sharon, but I'm hurting. Here we go. What do we got?
Yeah, I'm feeling you on that. Well, welcome to episode 3 of the New Score podcast. Remember to like and subscribe on our YouTube. Follow us along on Spotify. Follow our Facebook. Follow our Instagram, new_score_ podcast. We have an absolutely packed episode today. It is the best time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the absolute meat of the NFL season right now. We got college football. We got hockey starting up. We're down to Final Four, MLB playoffs. We got NBA on the way. Both our birthdays are coming up. This is the weather's starting to change. This is just the absolute prime time of the season right here.
Juicy.
So thank you for joining us today. Let's get right to it. Let's get off to let's talk about these MLB playoffs. So last night, Phillies beat the Braves, and we have our Final Four. We got D-backs Phillies from the NL, and we have Astros versus the Rangers.
Yeah.
Astros Rangers. The Rangers haven't even lost a game in the postseason yet, and I can't remember their name for some reason. So, shout out to the Texas Rangers. They've yet to lose a game in the playoffs. I do want to talk about the fact that we have 3 out of the 4 wild card teams in baseball that have advanced. We're going to get to that shortly. The Dodgers get swept in the last 2 seasons combined. The Los Angeles Dodgers are 1-6 in the postseason.
Yikes.
Pitching just continues to struggle for them, including Kershaw.
Poor guy.
We've talked for a long time about Kershaw's inability to perform in the playoffs. It's been going on for years. Their young pitcher, Bobby Miller, got lit up. Lance Lynn got lit up in Game 3. Just not good for the Los Angeles Dodgers, especially to be losing to a team like the D-backs, who's up and coming in your own division, to get swept by them. We're going to talk a little bit more about them. Philadelphia Phillies continue to just hit bombs. Home run ball is carrying them. Bryce Harper is just so fucking cool. Like that dude. The swag.
Swaggy.
The amount of swag Bryce Harper. Some of these photos you see with him engaging with the crowd, getting into it with Arcia, going around second base for the Braves. It's fun. Baseball's real fun right now.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to the Phillies. Shout out to the D-backs. American League, Rangers, Astros. Division matchup going into the ALCS. Obviously, both of us are going to be pulling for the Texas Rangers. We want the Astros, to have no part in getting another World Series. So hopefully Texas can handle that. But it's an all-Texas ALCS, so that's fun. That's fun.
It is, yeah.
As far as the NL, I think the Phillies are going to be tough to beat. You got that 1-2 with Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola at the top of that rotation, and the way those guys are hitting the ball out of the ballpark right now, it's pretty fun to watch. So we'll see what happens with that. Max Scherzer, he is making progress right now, but it's unclear if he's going to be ready for the ALCS. So if Rangers can get Scherzer healthy, then they're going to have a great chance. And it's kind of funny seeing the two Mets guys, Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, the two new teams that they went to, are now playing against each other in the ALCS. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty funny after what was expected to be out of the New York Mets to start this year. So
Yeah.
that's our division series recap. Like we said before, it's football season, but we do still pay attention to what's going on in baseball, what's going on in hockey, and then eventually what's going on in basketball. Leading into that, though, is our segment that we like to call Hot Potato.
Hot potato.
Hot potato is our hot take. Tyler, I heard you got a pretty good hot potato this week. Tell me what you got.
Yeah, so I really, really like the Braves, which I think probably a lot of people did going into the playoffs. I knew it was going to be a great series with the Phillies just because they were hot and the Phillies are tough. They're really tough. But I love the Braves. I picked them as my favorite, and they flopped. So I'm sorry, Pachano, which everyone, you will see Pachano on here at some point. He's a big Braves fan, so I'm sorry that he had to go through that. But the hot potato hot take is basically number one seeds across almost every sport other than the NBA. In the MLB, number one seeds, we've only had 7 World Series champions that were number one seed since 1995. So over the last 20 years, almost only 7. 3 of them being the Yankees in 98, 99, and 2009. The Braves were actually one of those back in 95 who won it as a 1 seed. But other than that, yeah, only 7. And then you look at like the NFL, for example, it's another one where number one seeds just haven't had that much success. Something I found was since 1975, like the Broncos-Seahawks matchup some years back with Peyton Manning. I think it was Peyton Manning, was it? Broncos-Seahawks, right?
Yeah.
Either way, that was only the 10th time that 2 number one seeds like duked it out in the Super Bowl since 75. So almost in the last 50 years. Yeah, it was. In the last 50 years, we've only had 10 of those. So it's just, I don't know what it is about being the number one seed. Maybe it's the pressure that comes along with that. But,
I'm off.
Yeah, like, I guess if you're a franchise, like you're almost gunning not to be the number one seed. If you look at analytics and what the numbers favor, like, I'll take the wild card. Fuck it. I'll go on the road. I'll be the underdog. But, yeah, that's my hot take, hot potato of the day.
I like that. I like that a lot because I don't think it gets remembered. Baseball, there's a difference between different sports where I think some sports you get a really you get a good benefit from sitting out for a week or whatever, and then other sports I think it's important to keep playing. You get you make it on a run. I think baseball is one of those sports where you take some time off, guys might you take some time off and that other team is coming in to play against you and they've been hot, they've been on a roll, they had to work their ass off to get into the playoffs as it is as a wild card. That's a tough spot to be in, and like you said, I'm not sure that it's giving these 1 seeds the advantage. At the same time, though, we can't make excuses for the Dodgers. There's no reason that team shouldn't, like I said, 1-6 in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
In the playoffs is with that roster, with those guys, with that payroll, it's just completely unacceptable.
For the Braves too in that matchup, there's not many like home field advantages in baseball.
Oh yeah,
and I think that one of the few is probably Philly. So I felt like the Braves they couldn't let the Phillies get one. on the road, and they did, and it ultimately fucked them. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a little more about the MLB playoffs as they go on. But like we said, we're going to try to stick more to football. Talk a little bit about baseball. Talk a little bit about hockey. Talk a little bit about basketball. But while football's going on, that's our primary focus. That's what we're really going to dive into. I do want to mention NHL's back. Shout out Connor Bedard. I mean, 18-year-old phenom for the Chicago Blackhawks comes right in. I watched that game. He played against my Pens opening night where they beat us. They came back. He got his first point that game, and then the next night in Boston, he got his first goal. So pretty awesome to see that 18-year-old he's looking like that guy that can, maybe he's that next one. He's the next guy coming up in the NHL.
Yeah.
Moving on, we're gonna get to our heel of the week. This one's tough to even fathom, to even talk about, but I'm gonna get into it. My heel of the week this week goes out to Mario Cristobal, head coach of the Miami Hurricanes football team. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, I'm telling you, you're gonna want to look this up. Miami was winning 20-17 against Georgia Tech at home on Saturday. 33 seconds left in the game. They have the ball. Georgia Tech has no timeouts. The game is over. From a betting standpoint, you pick Miami in that game.
Sick.
For whatever reason, you take Miami money line. You're like, this game's over. All right, I got nothing to worry about. I could shut it off. I go down to the next game if you're a Miami fan. And what's this dude do? He calls a run play. The running back fumbles the ball. Georgia Tech gets the ball back. Georgia Tech goes down and scores a touchdown to win the game. Mind you, Miami at the time was undefeated. They got all these goals ahead of them. They're looking like, the U's looking like it's back. And then the coach puts your team in a situation like that where you just completely throw the game away. The decision is one thing. The fact that they didn't take a knee, that's one thing. That's not why he's my heel of the week, though. The accountability for a head coach, and like, you have to wear that. That's all on you. There's not another head coach mind you, this is the second time that Cristobal has done this. Cristobal used to be the head coach at Oregon. 2018, Oregon was up 31-28 late in the fourth against Stanford. Instead of taking a knee just to win it, Cristobal chose to ran it. They fumbled. Stanford recovered it. And then eventually Stanford won in overtime. So this is the second time where Mario Cristobal has done this. And this dude had the nerve after the game to put that on the running back. Quotes. These are quotes. He said, "I thought we could get the first down. I thought we could get the first down. Why do you need to try to get the first down? The game's over. You just take a knee. Why is that even something you think about, getting the first down? Like, dude, the game is over. Take a knee." And then for him to be that incoherent in that moment after that and say, "Well, I thought we could get the first down." And he said, "We talked about having two hands on the ball, but that's not good enough." So now you're making your running back feel bad on the bench, putting the game on him because, he should have had two hands on the football. No, dude. You take a knee there and the game's over. Your team wins. You took that away from your team and you couldn't even take responsibility for that. And that is so bad. That's so incoherent. That's so I have so many words to describe that. That just makes this. I'm surprised the guy didn't get fired, to be honest. He's done a good job getting Miami back on track and everything, But for you to take that away from your players and then not even take accountability. He did on Monday morning. They had him on a radio show where he said, yeah, I fucked up. I shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. But that's 2 days after. Like, in that moment, he didn't even have the balls to take accountability for that after that stupid decision. Heel of the week, Mario Cristobal.
Dude, that's that's awful. Plus 2 days after the fact, he probably had, people in his ear being like, hey, you can't pin this on your running back. You made the call. You got to take accountability. And then maybe he did. But like, fucking, where are my tinfoil conspiracy dogs at, right? Let's put the tinfoil on. I mean, he's done it twice. Name, like, if anybody can think of another instance where coaches have done this in the past and lost, I couldn't think of one, and he did it twice. He's the guy who's done it twice. It, like you said, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know what kind of agenda he has, but that ain't it. So, yeah, that's tough.
It's really bad. Shout out to anybody that had money on that game and got fucked over. Very sorry. I don't know.
I'd be sick. I was talking to Pachano about, bro, I would be absolutely sick. I would contemplate betting. I would contemplate life at that point. Like, what, especially if you had big money. Did you see the bet that someone had? It went viral.
No, I didn't.
It was a bet. This guy, the last thing he needed was Miami to win, money line. He would have won. That's it. He would have won $45,000, and they didn't. So he lost his bet. When I think about this, like, I think about that Step Brothers scene where it's like, oh, I'm gonna throw up, like. That would have been me, bro. I probably would have thrown up. That's tough. $45,000 too. I feel so bad for that guy, but I digress.
Yeah, feel bad for that guy. I feel bad for those kids. They did enough to win that game, and I don't know how you even recover going into the next week. They have a huge matchup tomorrow against North Carolina, and to have to deal with that all week and then go into a game of this magnitude, I'm feeling for that team right now.
Against your guy too, May. I mean, they might get blown out.
Yeah, that's one of those games. I think Drake May had like 450 yards passing last week. So, all right, moving on. Let's get to our Thursday night football recap. Chiefs 19, Broncos 8. Frank Clark was released by the Broncos today. Did you even know Frank Clark played on the Broncos?
I did, but like, yeah, it's very under the radar. Not something.
It was I
wouldn't have expected him to be there.
It was one of those under the radar moves that happened in the offseason that you forget about. Where I saw it today, where the Broncos released him, and I was like, oh shit, yeah. Frank Clark did go to the Broncos, didn't he? He only played in 2 games this year. Like we talked about last week, they got rid of Randy Gregory. They're just trying to go younger because they realized, well, we're the worst team in the league, so why do we have these guys, these older guys? Let them go try to win somewhere else. Maybe Frank Clark goes back to Kansas City. Who knows? But getting to the game, Kansas City had 70 plays to Denver's 49. They had 36 minutes time of possession to Denver's 24.
Sheesh.
All game, the deficit wasn't a lot on the scoreboard, but it just didn't feel like Denver ever had a chance. Like it didn't ever feel like the Chiefs were actually going to lose to the Broncos, but it was never like the scoreboard didn't reflect that at all. And the reason I say it never felt like Denver was going to, really get into the game and take the lead is because of how inefficient Russell Wilson was. Going over Russell Wilson's numbers, let's talk about it. 13 for 22 for 95 yards passing. He had 1 touchdown late to Cortland Sutton. Sutton made an unbelievable catch in the end zone. Shout out to him. But he also had 2 picks. Russell Wilson finished with a QBR of 10.
10.
Passer rating of 46.6. Denver Broncos finished with 3 turnovers on offense, just continuing to shoot themselves in the foot. But that Denver Broncos defense that we have been consistently shitting on showed up last night, and they played by far their best game. They held Pacheco to 62 yards on the ground. We talked yesterday that we were going to put a prop bet together for Pacheco to get 100 yards rushing. And shout out to the Denver's deep because they held their own out there. Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell, those 2 linebackers for Denver, those 2 white boys out there flying around, just being real physical. I like what I saw from those guys.
Yeah.
I thought Pat Surtain had a hell of a game. And they had another young D-back, Jaquan McMillan, put his name on the map last night. He had a great game. So Denver's defense, they did their job. When you hold Mahomes to 19 points, I mean, kudos to them, especially in the red zone. They were making it really hard. They were making it really hard on Kansas City to get anything going most of the night. We're going to talk about Kansas City offense a little bit, but you have to give credit to Denver's defense for what they did, and Sean Payton just has to be. It's like your defense is so bad this whole year, and now your defense plays up to that level against the Super Bowl champs on the road in prime time, and your offense puts that performance out there. It was tough. It's getting tough to watch Russ out there now. And the fact that they gave all that up for him, they're paying him that much. It's looking like it might go down as top 3 worst trades in NFL history because of how far that trade is setting them back, how bad that team is right now. Other things I got in this game, Chiefs ended up having 7 penalties for 84 yards. And I just thought that they were getting way too cute at times, and they usually do get cute. But it works for the most part. They ran a fake field goal QB sneak with Noah Gray where they had like a tush push with the punter Tommy Townsend coming in trying to shove him up the middle. And I was just like, what are you doing? You know, you got 2 yards to gain. Leave your offense out there if you're going to run that garbage. You know what I mean? Like, there's just times where Andy Reid, I think he gets way too cute, and credit to him for the times that he does pull it off and he looks like a genius and this and that. But last night, I just thought there was so much. They ran a reverse pass with Tony, and he ended up throwing the ball up. Could have easily been a turnover. They ran a read option with Tony on a 3rd and 1 late in that game, and he's reading Bonito, and Bonito is stuck on him, and he still keeps it. It's like he's predetermined that he's going to keep that ball when he should have gave it to Pacheco. So I just think the Chiefs hurt themselves trying to get too flashy, too cute at times.
Yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the sirens in the background later on this audio, but I'm sorry about that. The Chiefs, I think they had, I don't remember the exact yardage, but I want to say they had close to, if not over 400 yards of total offense. So they were moving the ball and just couldn't get it going in the red zone. I think that's something that over the course of the year, Andy Reid's going to clean up, and Mahomes, Kelsey, all those guys, they're going to figure it out. I think Pacheco's too hard of a runner too, down inside the 10 or inside the 5 to not give it to him at least once or twice every 4 downs. But like you said, the Chiefs do try to get cute. They try to do a little too much sometimes. That tush push off the field goal, I think that's something that you might get away with on like 4th and inches. But when you're talking about 2 yards or a little over 2 yards, like that's a tough one. You know, you're not the Eagles. But it is tough. Like you mentioned, that trade is going to go down as one of the worst in NFL history. I agree with that. That's tough to come back from where they're at now. I thought the Chiefs defense was good going in. Their pass defense was good going in. Run defense, I knew you could get a little bit on them. And I think Denver did a solid job of getting Javonte Williams going at times, but being down the whole game, they couldn't stick to it. And I thought that really hurt the game plan. I thought that Russ had, this is the worst he's looked all year. He generally has been able to control that offense, manage it, and, get yards, get points. But yeah, yesterday was rough. I like Sutton. I like Judy. I thought they'd be able to do a little more in the air, and they just didn't. They just didn't. The Kansas City D played really well, shutting those guys down. I actually, when we talked about a bet, and I was like, tell me if I'm a little too baked here, but I really liked a light play on the Broncos in that game. The line, Vegas, you did it again, 10.5. Denver got, they won by 11. So Vegas just always seems to have it right. But I actually did a little light tease, Broncos plus 13.5. I took the under on Russell Wilson passing yards at it was 225, give or take. And then I did have a 5 or 6 leg parlay. The 2 I missed on, I thought Javonte Williams would have been a little more useful in the passing game, but he didn't. I don't even know if he had a reception, but I had him at 10 or 11 yards receiving. That didn't hit, and then I thought the game was going to be an over, and that didn't hit either. So I missed on that, but maybe I should have just took the plus 13.5 and rode with that. Either way, Kansas City, they win again. Are they 4-1 now or 5-1? I think
5-1.
5-1, yeah. So, they're getting it done. I think Travis Kelce had 100 yards in the first half coming off of the what is it? It was an ankle sprain, right? Not a high ankle though.
Yeah. So he finished with 9 catches for 124 yards. I don't know where that offense would have been really though without him last night, and that's another thing. We're talking about it again. Is the Chiefs getting that next guy to step up? Rashee Rice did have 4 catches for 72 yards, and I thought that when he was getting the ball, that was providing a spark to that offense last night. I thought Rashee Rice, he may very well be that guy for them. That's going to give that offense a spark. It's going to take the pressure off of Kelce, and he's going to be there for Mahomes to rely on. And he had the big play late in the game to essentially end it and put them in territory that was going to get him a field goal. Harrison Butker had a huge game, 60-yarder before halftime, 52-yarder also in windy conditions in KC last night. So Harrison Butker doesn't get talked enough about him. Another Steve Spagnuolo in that defense. We keep talking about it. This is a different Chiefs team. They get Nick Bolton back last night. Defense is allowing that offense to develop. The offense is, trying to work out some kinks, get it going, find a rhythm, and they're fine because that defense is giving them the opportunities. They're not putting them behind the 8 ball and forcing Kansas City's offense to do too much right now.
Yeah. I
thought that defense once again just played great. Russell Wilson played bad, yeah, but that defense played phenomenal.
They did.
And they have been playing great. It's a different Kansas City Chiefs team right now. And they might be better for it. They probably will be better for it at the end of the season because Patrick Mahomes is going to get that offense to a certain level. And right now, that defense is playing really good football. They just know how to pick each other up in all 3 phases. One phase is down, and the other 2 phases, pick that one phase up, and they carry their team. They find a way to win. That's football. That's all 3 phases contributing.
Yeah. So my last couple takes on that game is, I think that eventually, we've both already mentioned it. They're going to Andy Reid, Mahomes. They're going to get it going, especially down in the red zone. But that defense, I never carry 2 defenses on a fantasy team. And right now I've got the Cowboys D and the Chiefs D on my fantasy team, and I think I'm going to rock with them. every week. I never carry two. This is the first year I've done it, I think, in a while. But I'm going to just, depending on matchups week to week, I'm going to throw either of those defenses in there. And then the other thing I got is Kansas City just does not have a deep threat right now. They have nobody where defenses are like, all right, just do not let that guy beat you deep, right? Like they don't have to worry about keeping a safety over the top on either side of the field to prevent something down, deep down the field and letting something up. I just think that Kansas City's got to figure out who that guy is for them to stretch the field. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot of that, a lot of yards, not a whole lot of points. But that's all I got.
Do want to say we absolutely love how Pacheco runs the football. Something we were talking about during the game last night. Just every time that dude gets the ball, he runs it like it's the last time he's ever going to run the ball in the NFL. And I got a lot of respect for that. A lot of respect for the drive to just like nobody's stopping me with this ball in my hand right now. Like I'm going to run the rock down your throat.
Absolutely love it.
So I thought Pacheco looked good. They got him going in the receiving game a little bit too last night. So
Good.
That was good. I think that's all I got on that game. So let's move on to a segment that we like to call Say It and Grade It. Tyler is a person that is he's a music head, guy I've always gone to for, what's popping off in the music world. I hear Drake's got a new album. Tell me about it. Say It and Grade It, Drake's new album for all the dogs.
Absolutely love. Speaking of dogs, I don't know if you could hear that in the background, but
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. It literally couldn't have been queued up better. I love the title of the album. I do not necessarily love the album. Most Drake albums, you come out, first of all, this is like 23 songs long. I don't think that this might be Drake's longest album he's ever put out as far as tracks go. And this isn't even like the extended version or the deluxe version. This is just straight up raw album. Here it is. And most of Drake's albums, you get a couple bangers, a couple riders, some smooth ones. Right off the bat, you have like a handful, 4, 5, 6, 7 songs that you just really love and you just play over and over and over again. And then the rest kind of grow on you over time. You might have one or two that flop, right? But Drake generally never misses on his album tracks. And I feel like there's some misses on this one. And I don't have, other than I think it's First Person Shooter, the track with J. Cole. Other than that one, which is in my opinion best on the album, is fire. That is I didn't want J. Cole's verse to end. I think that J. Cole kind of like made that his track. He did better than Drake did on that one, which is not something Drake usually allows, especially on an album. J. Cole killed it. Love that track. Other than that, like I can go without it. If it pops up on my shuffle, cool. If it doesn't, cool. I can generally go without it. The second song, like you get the classic intro with Virginia Beach, and Drake mentions Virginia Beach multiple times throughout the album. So I don't know what what that play is there and how it all coincides. But either way, take it as it is, take it for what it will. But that first song, it's kind of a classic Drake intro. Second song, Tizo Touchdown. I'm like not super familiar with the name, definitely not familiar with his like his catalog, but I thought that was Ty Dolla $ign at first. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh shit, he's got Ty Dolla $ign. Bet. I look and it's Tizo Touchdown, because then once he, it got further in the song, I was like, wait, is that Ty Dolla $ign? Tizo Touchdown. Shout out to him. Yeah, he's actually very good. Another thing I got is some of like the skits just kill me. Like he had the one in the 21 Savage song, like Drake does his verse, and then it's got this little skit, and it's this chick talking about how she had to sit in the back of the plane, and whoever was taking her on vacation said that there was no room in first class. There was plenty of room in first class. It's like, fucking welcome to my life. I never sit first class. I sit in the back of the plane all the time, baby. So that was just a funny skit to me. We need more Drake J. Cole. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this is we need more Drake J. Cole on tracks together. And then I don't want to sound like an absolute hater because I'm really not hating, but
Jodeci Freestyle,
yes, that was one.
legendary.
I'm not trying to hate on Sexy Red, but I just can't do it. I just cannot. I cannot listen to Sexy Red, and
I don't even know who that is.
she's technically like popping right now, and according to a very reliable source on my end with music, she hasn't missed. And I'm like, bro, she hasn't missed. How about
She missed with that name. What are we talking about here?
she did miss with the name, bro? And it's just like I didn't. I can't sit through it. And the one song that she is on, um, her verse is like one bar, no joke. It's literally one, maybe two bars, absolute max. But I think that that's her hook, and I'm pretty sure it's her on the hook, and they might have messed with it a little bit during the editing process. But yeah, bro, I just can't. I can't get on the Sexy Red train, so to speak. And then, my last take on it is like there was a song that he had Chief Keef on there. Like he had a couple random features, and Chief Keef was on there. And that did not sound like Chief Keef at all to me.
Really?
At least, I've never been a huge Chief Keef guy, but ever since Love Sosa, like never really heard Chief Keef come out with anything. And he was on this album, and it just didn't sound like Chief Keef. But overall, like I would probably, this is the saying great segment. I'd have to give it like a B minus, maybe a B at best, but I'm probably going to go more so first grade B minus. Maybe a couple songs grow on me over time and this ends up going into a B or a B plus, but I can't see it getting an A minus or even really, B plus is kind of a stretch right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like every Drake album is like that, where you first listen to it and it doesn't really click for you, and then the more you listen to it, it grows on you, and you're like, oh shit, like did you hear that? Like did you? And then you look into the lyrics, and you're like, damn, and then it grows on you, like you said. I haven't really been into music recently at all. I mean, it's just all sports with me, and then if anything, it's old school because like you say, seeing names like Sexy Red and shit, I'm just like, what are we doing here? What's going on in the music industry? Who is popular? Why are they even popular? Like that song's a banger. What?
Yeah.
I don't understand. 95% of the hip hop industry right now. But moving on, we're going to talk a little more about pop culture. Tyler, let's talk about Taylor Swift's invasion into our NFL world. It's every week now, every Chiefs game, cameras are finding her, whether she's there or not, talking about it pregame, making these monologues, introductions leading up to the game, putting these graphics during the game, Travis Kelce with Taylor Swift. Tell me what are your thoughts. Say it and grade it. The Swifty invasion into the NFL world.
F minus. F fucking minus. F for fucking minus, dude. Unbelievable. Like, I'm gonna throw up every time I see Taylor Swift on an NFL game. Like, I can't fathom it. I know there's something behind this. I know that this is for something other than sports. It's, whether this was to promote Travis Kelce's jersey sales and get those up, like, call it what you will. I hate it. I cannot stand it. If they were allowed to have cameras following her up in the booth, I bet they would. Like these guys on the cameras are probably like this. Oh, where the fuck's Taylor at? And I can't stand it, bro. It really pissed me off the first like week or two that it was happening, and now I'm just kind of like over it, and I don't care as much. But I definitely was like, dude, nobody gives a flying fuck that Taylor Swift is at the Chiefs game. I certainly don't. And when I want to watch football, I don't care that Taylor Swift is talking to, Patrick Mahomes' wife. Like, who cares, bro? Who cares? And that's my take on it. I digress. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna add too much of that because pretty much nailed it on the head. I agree with you, 100%.
F minus.
Don't have to hammer that any more than it has already been hammered. So, I mean, we're going to watch football regardless. We're going to watch the Chiefs. But something to think about going forward.
Yep.
Next segment. Next segment is our daily rant. And today's daily rant is just something that has been really grinding in my gears for a long time. Today's daily rant is people using the term system quarterback. So let's dive into this. I see Brock Purdy lighting it up with the 49ers. We've always seen those guys where they play good, they have a good team around them, they have a good coach, and we see all these people on social media or these conversations you're getting into with people where, oh well, he's just a system quarterback. He's just a system quarterback. There's literally no term that I hate more in sports. I hate it so much. The fact of the matter is, you're either a good quarterback or you're not. You either have a good coach who brings out the max potential in you, which is what he's supposed to do, or you have a bad coach who doesn't get the max potential out of you. And newsflash, those bad coaches that don't get the best out of your quarterback, they don't last in the league very long. Those guys aren't there anymore. So the fact that this is quarterback is literally the hardest position to play in all of sports. There's so much mentally that just goes into playing quarterback and running an offense, let alone actually going out there and executing on the field, making those throws, leading your team, keeping the guys in it on the sideline, whatever it may be. There's so much that goes into playing quarterback that people just are so arrogant to like not even think about everything it takes to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. For those people that always want to use the system quarterback label, I'm just curious, who are your greatest quarterbacks? I want to hear the people who say, well, so and so is just a system quarterback. Tell me who your system quarterbacks are, or excuse me, tell me who your great quarterbacks are in NFL history. Just lay it out for me, because I guarantee you, I have an argument that I'm going to prove you wrong in the fact that everybody that you say, somebody helped them get to where they were. There's literally 21 other players out on a field at once. This isn't basketball. Nobody can do this by themselves. Is Joe Montana not as good as a quarterback, looking back at Joe Montana, because he had Bill Walsh? Or is Dan Marino trash because he had Don Shula as his coach? Are we just going to ignore Patrick Mahomes? Like, are those 2 rings that Patrick Mahomes has now, are those 2 rings tainted because he has Andy Reid calling his plays and he has Travis Kelce? We just like, well, he has Andy Reid. So is that what we're doing here? There literally isn't a successful quarterback in NFL history, like I said, who didn't have help around him. After all, what makes a good coach is the ability to get the best out of your players. That's what that's what they're there to do. They're there to implement a system that brings out the best in your players, particularly your quarterback. It's a quarterback-driven league. Everybody's careers are different. All those guys can do is go out there and play. They have no control over what happens in the front office, who their coach is or what moves the general manager's making. Brett Favre had Mike Holmgren and Andy Reid in the 90s. That was arguably, I don't even think it's arguably. That was the best Brett Favre's ever looked, was back then when he had Mike Holmgren and he had Andy Reid as his coach. Kurt Warner had greatest show on turf. He had Torrey Holt. He had Isaac Bruce. He had Marshall Faulk. He had Mike Martz calling his plays. Peyton Manning had 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison. He had Edgerrin James, Hall of Fame running back. Is Peyton Manning just a guy because he had those dudes around him that helped him be how good that he was? Aaron Rodgers stepped into an established great culture in Green Bay with great players everywhere around him. They just replaced Brett with him. The culture was there. Aaron Rodgers stepped into that. And Tom Brady had Bill Belichick. What's common with all those guys, though? They all went on and continued to be great in their careers. Kurt Warner brought the Arizona Cardinals out of absolutely nowhere to a Super Bowl appearance with such a young team, with Fitzgerald and Bolden and those boys when they were young. He did that with Arizona. Peyton Manning literally broke records in Denver after he left Indianapolis. Aaron Rodgers won multiple MVPs despite his own franchise refusing to build around him in the offseason and the draft. And Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in Tampa. Tyler, do you remember all those years people talking about Tom Brady being a system quarterback? That because guys like Matt Castle and Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett were stepping in New England and winning games. That somehow takes away from Tom Brady and how great he is. That, well, anybody could do it in New England. It's the system. Okay. Any idea how those offenses in New England have looked since Tom Brady left that system?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna
awful.
sum it up. It's not good. It's not good. So for the people that always have the system quarterback argument, where, well, I mean, this guy's got all these weapons and he's got this coach and this and that, and it's like, can you just shut up and understand how difficult it is to play this position in the hardest league? It's professional football, man. It's the hardest position to play in all of sports. And we're talking about the NFL. It's way too hard of a job for us to diminish greatness, to diminish great quarterback play. It's too hard for us to take away from that. Like, just stop, enjoy it, respect it, appreciate it. That's my daily rant.
Yeah, good rant. Love that. Yeah, for all the Tom Brady haters, I mean, just like, take a look at the Mac Jones. And then Tom Brady did it in Tampa too. So that's such a BS argument right there.
And like I said, everybody's experience is different. You can't. Brock Purdy was drafted to the 49ers, so we're going to hold that against him because he was put in that situation. Like, the guy he has an opportunity, he's running with it.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Lance had an opportunity. He did have multiple injuries, but he had that opportunity. He didn't run with it.
Yep.
And they gave him a lot more chances than they would have. They had a lot more patience for the guy that they traded picks for and drafted, top 5. They had a lot more patience with that guy than they did Brock Purdy. So Brock Purdy doesn't have the opportunities, in training camp and in practices and all that. And Kyle Shanahan saw something in that dude, and that dude knows football. So it's just not. We'll move on. Let's move on to this week's slate, week 6. Let's start it off with the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans over the pond in London. We got Baltimore -4.5, over under 42. I absolutely love this game, Tyler. Absolutely love it. For those of you that don't know, I do have a bad English accent, and I absolutely love these two teams. I'm a Rams fan, but these are my two my AFC crushes right here. Baltimore Ravens, Tennessee Titans. I both love. I love their physicality. I love how the culture. I love how the coaches, everything about the uniforms, even. Like, if I had two teams in the AFC that I could flirt with a little bit, it's these two teams, and these two teams happen to have a rivalry with each other that's been brewing since the days of Ray Lewis and that defense against Steve McNair, Eddie George. Like, this has been one of those AFC rivalries that doesn't get talked about enough, and I am so pumped about this game. Sunday morning, standalone game. Absolutely love the under in this game. I'm going to get into that. But Ravens coming off a very tough loss against Steelers that we talked about.
Tough.
Titans coming off tough loss. Indy. Both teams are going to be hungry. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I haven't been a huge fan of these London games just because of the travel and everything that kind of comes along with being in London and playing in London. Um, I'm with you though. I do like the under, especially with these two
You like the under,
rivals.
do you?
I do like the under, maybe with a cup of tea, but I'm probably going to drop do a really, really light tease to the -4. I'm probably going to drop it to -2.5 for the Ravens. I do think they're going to come out real hungry after that loss to Pittsburgh last week. This Titans defense is just, they're too hurt and banged up and they're struggling a little bit. They're just not quite healthy enough for me to bet on them, quite yet. And another thing to note, which was probably the most important stat to me that I saw about this game, is that the Ravens haven't allowed a rushing touchdown yet this year. And that's kind of the Titans' bread and butter. I know last week they finally got Hopkins going, it was a good sight. I love that. But, to a Ravens team that's pretty stingy on defense, I think that this is going to be a low-scoring game. Both teams are traveling. It wasn't like last week, where the Jaguars had 2 weeks in London and now they're playing against the Bills. Like, both of these teams traveled, and I just don't think there's going to be a whole lot of scoring in this one. I think it's going to be a hard-nosed matchup, but I do like the Ravens and I like the under.
Yeah, both teams are traveling. Both defenses very physical, and both offenses are very stagnant offenses. We talk about the Ravens offense being inconsistent. We talk about the Titans being maybe the most inconsistent team in all football. And now those teams, two of the most inconsistent offenses, jet lag, London,
Yep.
huge game for both teams. Like, this has under written all over it. I absolutely love it. Big juicy bet number one from me.
Woo!
Ravens Titans under 42. Gotta love it. And like I said, I'm super excited about this game. This is going to be one of those Sunday morning games from London where usually you're kind of like half awake, half involved in the game. You're just ready for 1 o'clock. I'm going to be fully engaged watching this one. I'm absolutely pumped. Might be my favorite game of the day. But
Ooh.
that's our pick. You like the Ravens and the under?
Yeah, I do. They're at -4 right now, right? I think they're at -4.
4.5.
4.5. Yeah, I mean, I drop it down to 2.5. I think this could very much be a 3-point game. Just the way that these two teams have been playing and everything we just mentioned. So yeah, I love the under. I do like the Ravens. Drop them down to -2.5. It shouldn't change the money back guarantee on the BJB, the big juicy bet. Yeah, but I'm with you on that one.
All right, cool. Moving on, let's get to the Washington Commanders, 2-3, taking on the 3-2 Atlanta Falcons. Commanders coming off that loss on Thursday night last week, and the Falcons coming off that Younghoe Koo game winner at the buzzer. First thoughts on this game, a couple young quarterbacks that I really want to see something from. I want to see Sam Howell respond, and I want to see Desmond Ridder continue. We talk about Atlanta offense building those blocks, week to week, getting better, getting Kyle Pitts and Drake London involved in the offense while also getting that run game to where, establishing that run game is going to make everything easier on them. But I'm excited to see the Commanders offense too because of what they can do. So I'm not leaning any particular side with this game, but I am excited to see how these quarterbacks play it out. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta is, and this is in Atlanta. They're 2.5-point favorites here. Over unders 42. For as good as that Commanders D line is up front, which they received some praise from Arthur this week. That they're giving up almost 5 yards per carry. last week, I think the Bears kind of did whatever they wanted on the ground against them, which was surprising to me. But now looking back at it, I'm like, oh yeah, they're giving up almost 5 yards a carry. That makes sense. And the stat about Ritter never losing at home, like, dude, cut me a break. I'm not fucking buying into that bullshit. I think that, Ritter is what he is. The fact that he's never lost a game in his entire life at home, maybe something, it may not be something. It's not to me. I'm sure that if I know this stat by now, the Commanders know this stat by now. And I'm not buying into it. I mean, mark me for saying this will be Ritter's first loss at home in his entire life. I really like the Commanders here over the Falcons. But with that being said, I did give the stat to 5 yards per carry. I was trying to do some research on this one. It's almost like the internet didn't want me to find anything. But the Falcons are 7-25 against the spread at home following a home win. They won last week by 2 against the Texans. They're the home favorite here. This stat was before the Dan Quinn era, so this is dating back some years. But I'd imagine it's probably, same percentage. Could be a little better, could be a little worse. But 7-25, against the spread at home following a home win. I'm kind of riding with the Commanders on this one.
Okay. You said that stat went back all the way to when Mike Smith was their head coach.
Some years back. That's some years back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing to mention, that Commanders secondary, they got lit up last Thursday night by the Bears. So
Yeah, they did.
There's going to be some opportunities for Ritter to take advantage, especially with Arthur Smith mixing in that run game. I mean, that's going to be their main focus. They're going to mix in the pass game, mix in that RPO. We want to see more RPO out of Desmond Ritter. Use that athleticism. Like I said, I'm not sure where to lean on this game. I'm staying away. Tyler likes the Commanders. Moving on to a game where I am leaning strongly a certain way. The 3-1 Seattle Seahawks coming off a bye at the 2-3 Cincinnati Bengals, who got back on track last week in Arizona. Joe Burrow looked really good, as we talked about. Offense was rolling early in that game. They're looking good. And we think the Bengals are back. I just love this spot for the Seattle Seahawks because I think it's a complete overreaction. Right now, the Bengals are 3-point favorites at home, and I don't really understand it because part of it, I think there's an overreaction out of what we saw from Cincinnati last week. Typical, classic overreaction. Joe Burrow looked good. The other thing is, I don't think people understand how good the Seattle Seahawks team is right now. Let's be real. They're 3-1 since that week 1 debacle against the Rams, where the Rams just completely outplayed them. Seattle has looked really good. That defense is looking good, and I don't know how. I mean, Jamal Adams is always he's hurt again. Witherspoon looks really good. They got Tariq Woolen on the other side, 2 really good young corners. Bobby Wagner's back, and he's still getting 10 tackles a game at the age of fucking 45, just flying around still. That front, they did play. Their last game was against the Giants, so the front, those statistics are a little inflated, what they did to Daniel Jones. But at the same time, they're coming off a bye. They've had 2 weeks now to prepare for Cincinnati. Geno Smith was banged up. His knee was banged up. He had an extra week to prepare for this game. He's out there practicing. He's going to be ready to go. And another thing is Cincinnati doesn't stop the run well at all. And we're talking about Kenneth Walker, who's an absolute beast and can pound the rock. And then when you could pound the rock with Walker, and you got DK, you got Lockett, You got JSN, who I think they're going to eventually get going. It's a little slow start for his rookie campaign, but they got some guys on that offense, and I absolutely love the Seattle Seahawks. Big juicy bet number 2, Seattle Seahawks +3. What do you got?
Yeah, so I think that after I read off these stats, these statistics, we'll see where we're at mindset wise. Me and Pat don't really often come to a disagreement over a game. This might be one of them. I'm like Pat mentioned, I'm not trying to overreact to how Burrow looked last week, but it was the best he's looked all year. He just looked kind of like he's getting healthy. The one thing, and I don't love this game. I want to put that out. Just like the last game, I like the Commanders more than I like the Falcons. I don't really love that game, though. Hence why it's not really a BJB for me. This is not a BJB for me. I'm kind of trying to stay away from this one. Some of the things I came up with, aside from the stat, well, not the stat, but, mentioning how Cincinnati's bad against the run they are. And that could very much be the difference in this game, is just how well Seattle runs the ball. I think if Cincinnati can stop the run, they have a really good shot at winning this game. But regardless, Burrow is 18-3-1 against the spread when he's facing teams that are allowing over 19 points per game. The Seahawks are allowing almost 23. They're ranked 19th in the league. Burrow is 8-5-1 all time versus NFC opponents, but he's won 6 straight, including 2 so far this year. He had that one sloppy win versus the Rams and then the Cardinals last week. So he's on a 6-game win streak versus the NFC. He's coming off his best game of the year. But Seattle, they are 50-31-2 against the spread as underdogs under Pete Carroll. Going into 2020, the Seahawks were 7-3 under Pete Carroll after a bye week. However, they've lost 3 straight years in a row coming off a bye week. Seahawks generally don't get a whole lot of pressure, like you mentioned, other than that Giants game. So this is going to be an interesting matchup.
I love this matchup.
Yeah, it's a real interesting one. Like I mentioned, kind of want to stay away from it, but also, like I've mentioned previous episodes, I bet on every game. I'm going to throw something on this one. I'm leaning towards the Bengals. The over-under, I can't predict that. I'm probably going to stay away from the over-under. I might just take the Bengals minus 2.5.
All right, so we do disagree on that.
Mm-hmm.
Take those points for what they are. One thing I do want to throw in is that Seattle number, defense average, and you said 23 a game. They did give up 30 week 1 to the Rams, and we talked about how that was just a complete debacle for Seattle. And I think they're a lot better team than what they put out week 1. Moving on is a ginormous AFC South matchup. We got the 3-2 Indianapolis Colts heading in to Jacksonville. Duval to take on the 3-2 Jacksonville Jaguars. Minshew Mania making a return to Jacksonville. I mean, this is a revenge game for Gardner Minshew. Thoughts on this one? Talked about the Jags last week in London, how that offense they're getting it going with Calvin Ridley right now. We talked about the chemistry Lawrence already has with Kirk, with Ingram in that offense. ETN looked really good last week. The Colts on the other side pulled out a tough game against Tennessee. They did what they had to do. Defense is overperforming, I would say, Indianapolis right now. There's not too much. As big as a game as this is, 3-2 versus 3-2, there's not too much that's really like I don't know what to really make of this game. And it's kind of the same thing with the Colts and the Titans game last week, where I wasn't really leaning particular side. I did end up taking the Titans, which I lost. But there's nothing that's like jumping out at me for this game, other than I do want to see that continued growth with Trevor Lawrence. in this Doug Peterson offense. I want to see Calvin Ridley getting the ball because I think when you get Calvin Ridley the ball, it's gonna make it so hard on defenses because we talk about Christian Kirk, we talk about Zay Jones, we talk about Evan Ingram, we talk about ETN. They got weapons down there. If they get Calvin Ridley going, this offense can be, I mean, we're talking top 5 in the league. And the defense made it hard on Buffalo last week. I think the more I'm talking about it, honestly, I'm starting to like I'm starting to like the Jags minus 4.5. I forgot to mention the number, but the Jags are giving 4.5 at home. I'm leaning Jacksonville the more I'm talking about it, but I am excited to see how Minshew does in his return to Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jacksonville's they're given 4 here. The over under is 44. There's nothing that's tipping the scales here for me either. I don't love betting on this one, but I just love this game in general as a fan. Just watching football, this is going to be a good game. Is it confirmed that Richardson is out?
Yes, yeah, he's going to be
Perfect.
out multiple weeks. Yep.
Okay, because if Richardson was playing, I probably would have done like a low play. The fact that Minshew is playing, I kind of want to do a low play on the Colts now. You know what I mean? It's tough though. Like I can't. Yes, the more and more we talk about it, Jacksonville is the play here. But with that being said, the Colts are going to want to run the ball. Jacksonville's been very good against the run. There's not a whole lot here other than Minshew playing again, kind of in a revenge game, so to speak, playing against the Jags. I don't really have much on this one.
That's a good point. How Jacksonville is good against the run, and I think Indy needs. I think they know they have to establish that run game that's been so good for them. Offensive line looks really good. Quentin Nelson just bullying people. They're getting Zach Moss going every single game, and they got Jonathan Taylor back. We'll see. That's another thing about this game is I want to see Jonathan Taylor if he's going to have an increased role in that offense, but not leaning a certain way for me either. If I had to take anything, I probably would take Jacksonville minus 4.5. Moving on, we got the 0-5 Carolina Panthers at the 4-1 Miami Dolphins. Carolina is missing Miles Sanders and 5 other starters on their team going into this, and they are 14-point dogs at Miami. Devon Achane got put on the IR earlier this week, but they're getting Jeff Wilson back. Talked about it last week how the Dolphins were 12.5-point favorites against the Giants, and I regretted not taking that because when you look at it, the Dolphins are just that much better of a team than the Giants were. And this isn't a big juicy bet for me, but I think I am going to take Miami minus 14 because it's just one of those games where they're too good. Miami's too good, and Carolina is just not there. I might throw in the under. Over under is sitting at 47.5. I like that. I like the over under. I think Miami could go up big in this game early, and then Carolina's going to have to throw to get back into it. What do you got on this one?
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is actually probably on my juicy watch, meaning I'm not putting a bet on this quite yet. I kind of want to see how that injury report plays out leading into Sunday. You mentioned Carolina has, they're banged up. Last week they had 3 of their starting D-backs out: Horn, Woods, I believe Jackson, and those are 3 of their starting secondary. I think they get at least one of them back from what I heard. That's why I kind of want to watch this one leading up to Sunday to see who exactly is going to play for them in their secondary, because that's going to be huge. I mean, Dolphins without Achane is an unfortunate loss because Achane is averaging like an insane, absurd amount of yards per touch. It's like 11 to 12 yards per touch. The dude is just been incredible to start the year. But I do have some interesting stats on this one, which is why it's on my juicy watch. Like you mentioned, Carolina is getting 13.5 points here. The over is 47.5. For what it's worth, winless road dogs, this being Carolina, they are winless on the year. Winless road dogs getting 10 or more points at the week 6 mark in the season or later are 26-8 against the spread over the last 20 years. That's a 77% win percentage. In week 6 or later, teams averaging 35 plus points per game, facing teams averaging less than 20 points per game, are 20, 38, and 4 against the spread over the last 20 years. That is a 32% win percentage. Panthers were playing, like I mentioned, without their 3 starters from the secondary. They might get at least 1, if not 2 of them back. Noah Chan. Bryce Young kind of gained a little bit of confidence, hopefully, at the end of last week. This Dolphin defense has not been good by any stretch. I want to see how the weather plays out as well. It's looking like it might be a windy game this Sunday. We'll see. Other than that, I mean, I would love for this to get up to 14. I think if this gets to 14 or 14.5, I'm going with Carolina. I still think this is a pretty good number for Carolina here, but this also just feels like a trap game for Miami. They have the Eagles next Sunday night. You know what I mean? They could just be looking ahead to that, not trying to, show too many plays in the scheme. They might be holding a little bit back. I don't know. I think this is a good number for Carolina. It's hard to pass up. But I do want to wait to see the weather and the injury report on Sunday. So I would hold off on betting this one until Sunday morning when we get a little bit of a more clearer idea of what to expect. But right now, I kind of do like that Carolina number.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Like you said, something to monitor going into Sunday with those injuries on Carolina's side. And then Achane being out for Miami is big. But at the same time, I mean, you still got Mostert, you still got Wilson, you still got those guys on the edge for them, and McDaniel drawing it up. I may be leaning the over here, but we'll see. Not a big juicy bet by any means.
I like the over. It's a good call.
Yeah. Moving on. This isn't this. We talked about the Jets Broncos last week being an intriguing 1-3 matchup. This is an intriguing 1-4 matchup for me. We got Minnesota Vikings without Justin Jefferson at the Chicago Bears, who lit it up in Washington last week. That offense looks good right now. Justin Fields last couple weeks. He looks like a different guy out there. 8 touchdowns, 1 interception last 2 weeks for Justin Fields. So first thoughts on this game is I want to see Justin Fields in that offense. We know DJ Moore is a weapon, like we said. I want to see somebody else step up, though. I want to see somebody else step up against that Minnesota defense because that Minnesota defense is not great. And I think that the opportunity is there for these guys in Chicago to really get it going this week. I believe Khalil Herbert is out for this game, so they're going to be without him. But at the same time, this is a great spot for Justin Fields at home to really make a statement that, hey, these last 2 games, they were not a fluke. And this is who I'm going to be moving forward as a quarterback in the NFL. Talking about Minnesota, they're missing Justin Jefferson, which is absolutely huge loss for that team. I mean, that's the guy on Minnesota that you have to worry about. Team that continues to shoot themselves in the foot. That's the guy that's there to always bail them out. It hasn't resulted in wins for them this year, but it's going to be really tough for them moving forward. And it's going to be tough for my fantasy team moving forward without Justin Jefferson. I'm not leaning a particular side with this. We got Minnesota -3. I'm thinking there may be a little bonus bet I throw in. Jordan Addison, anytime touchdown scorer. I'm seeing plus 185 right now for Jordan Addison, anytime touchdown scorer. He has been a guy that even when Jefferson's been out there for Minnesota, Kirk's been looking at him. He's been getting open. He's been running great routes. He's been getting it done. He's one of these rookie receivers who really looks like he's going to pan out in the league. And I might have to throw in anytime touchdown score for Jordan Addison. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, first looked at it, I was like, the over under on this one's only 43. I was like, I love the over here at 43. We're talking about two of the bottom 5 defenses in the league, especially through the air, which is, I feel like, what both of these teams are going to try to do. But again, I'm going to have to put this one on the juicy watch. It's, not looking like it's the best weather game in Chicago. I believe this is in Chicago, right? I feel like it is. It is,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's projected for a lot of wind, a lot of rain. Obviously, fucking weather's unpredictable, but leave this one on your watch. Check the weather leading up into the game. I think that, there's a little bit, and I'm trying to do this in the most non-biased way. I think there's a little bit of an overreaction here to Justin Fields' previous success in the last couple games, and I think it's also there's an overreaction to the Vikings offense losing Justin Jefferson. I think their offense is going to do just fine against this Bears defense. And then other way around, I think that Justin Fields, as much as I don't love him as a quarterback, I do think that they are going to, move the ball quite a bit against this Vikings defense. I think without the running backs, you mentioned Herbert's out. Is Johnson playing? Do we know if he's going to be healthy?
I don't know if he's out of concussion protocol.
Mm.
Gonna have to find out on that one.
Yeah, we'll wait for Sunday for that as well. But I mean, just run RPO with Justin Fields. Let him do his thing. The Vikings defense isn't going to catch him, right? So, I mean, what it really comes down to for me here, with such a kind of a close line being at -3 in the Vikings' favor, I just have more faith in Kirk Cousins at this point than I do Justin Fields. So, if you want to take the spread, or you're looking to take a team in general here, I would lean towards the Vikings. Maybe tease them, maybe tease them to +3, just in case. You never know with the way these defenses are playing. But what I do love here, if the weather holds up, is the over. So I'm going to leave this one on a juicy watch as well.
Yeah, you may very well have talked me into the over there, making great points. Not too great defenses by any means, and let's be real, Kirk Cousins, he can light it up, and
Yeah.
against a bad defense, even without Justin Jefferson, like you said, it may be a bit of an overreaction for this week specifically. I mean,
Yeah.
moving forward, they're going to be missing Justin Jefferson big time, but for this
Right.
week specifically against the Bears, I'm seeing a lot of points as well. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on. The 5-0 San Francisco 49ers coming off that whomping on the Dallas Cowboys last Sunday night, visiting Cleveland, who is coming off a bye, 2-2 Cleveland Browns, who are also, obviously, they're without Chubb. Now Deshaun Watson's out. Talking about PJ Walker potentially getting the start for them. I'm seeing the line 9.5. Some places I'm also seeing 10. This is a big juicy bet for me.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Niners at -10, but if you want to buy that half point to make it 9.5, I mean, either way,
Yeah.
I absolutely love the Niners in this game. We're talking about two great defenses, yes, but the Niners have the guys on offense, and they got Kyle Shanahan, and I continue to talk about Brock Purdy, how he's played. This is one of those games where I just think don't overthink it. Don't overthink it at all, because right now the 49ers are the best team in the league. They're freaking freight train right now. Visiting Cleveland, yes, Cleveland's got a great defense, but are they really gonna hang with the Niners all game? They're really gonna make this a close game? I don't see it happening. I see the Niners. Another thing to mention is Bitonio, great offensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns. He's also out this week. And you're talking about that front for San Fran. That's going to be Ford, the running back, also banged up for Cleveland. It's looking like it may be a shit show in Cleveland on Sunday. Absolutely love the 49ers. I got them at -10. Big juicy bet. What do you got?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, this is one of those games where don't read too much into the stats on this one. Um, yeah, no Watson, probably no Ford. Offensive line's banged up. 49ers look fantastic. They're healthy. No injuries on that front. I think that with as good as the Browns defense has been this year, I don't think they're going to hold the Niners to, under 20 points. Yeah, I can see the Niners just because of how bad the Browns offense is going to be. The Niners are going to force some turnovers. They're going to get real good field position, and they're going to be able to do what they want in that Shanahan scheme. This is most likely going to be a stomping for the Niners. I'm with you there, though. Love the Niners at -9.5 to -10.
Agreed. All right, moving on. We got the 3-2 New Orleans Saints at the 2-3 Houston Texans. Saints coming off that 34-0 win in New England last week. Houston coming off a really tough loss at Atlanta. Right now, New Orleans is giving 2 points as the favorite on the road. I don't lean a specific way as far as betting goes. But as I talked about earlier with Desmond Ritter, how I wanted to see, just want to see some continued progression from him. It's the same thing here with C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud has looked so good to start his career. I'm excited. I get excited just to watch him play now. It's to that point where I really enjoy watching him play quarterback because it's, as I said in the Daily Rant, it's not easy for like a rookie to go in and to be as efficient as he has been. People want to talk about him not taking chances down the field. I'm seeing some great throws that he's making down the field to, Nico Collins or Tank Dell. And then you got Robert Woods in the slot, that vet that you can lean on, rely on to get, those third down conversions. Dalton Schultz is a great tight end. I'd like to see Houston get the run game going. With Dameon Pierce, from the Saints side of the story, Derek Carr looked pretty sharp last week. It was against New England without two of their best guys. But how's Derek Carr going to look? How's that shoulder going to hold up for him? This will be Kamara's second game back. Third game. This will be Kamara's third game back. I'd like to see him get going more than just 13. What was it? 13 catches for like 30 yards last week. Something crazy like that.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
You talked about the Saints OC previously. A little more creativity from that Saints offense because you got the guys. You brought in the quarterback. You got Kamara back. You got Chris Olave, who's great. Michael Thomas is good. You got Shaheed as well. Can the Saints offense, we know what they did last week. Can they continue to do that? The defense has been balling. How's C.J. Stroud going to hold up against that great Saints defense? But like I said, I'm not leaning any particular way in this. What about you?
Yeah, this is actually probably one of the more intriguing matchups of the week. The Saints are one of those teams who hasn't done a whole lot offensively throughout the year until last week, but they were playing the Patriots, who were in a bit of a funk, so to speak. They had 2 really bad weeks in a row. The Texans' defense overall this year, too, hasn't been great. They haven't been that bad either.
Super young.
Right. New Orleans, they're -1.5. The over/under is 42 on this one. It's in Houston. Stroud has been phenomenal, but he has to come back down to earth at some point. And I do think that this is going to be that game because the Saints defense is no joke. I think Carr's coming off of his best game of the year as far as just, even just being banged up with that shoulder, he was still making great throws, good reads against the banged up Patriots defense. So take that as you will. With this one, if I had to go with the spread, I probably would take the Saints -1.5. But what I really like more here is maybe a slight tease on the over/under and then taking the under here. I don't think the Texans score more than 20 points, and I don't really see the Saints scoring much more than 24. I could see this being like a 24-17 game, something like in that range. So I might do like a slight tease here to 45.5 and then take the under.
I like that. All right. Speaking of those New England Patriots,
Yeah.
1-4, visiting Vegas. 2-3 Raiders, coming off big Monday night win against the Packers. We've talked enough shit about New England. I don't know really how we don't know where they're going to go from here. How do you respond to a game like that where you just got outplayed in every aspect of the game at home? Belichick going against McDaniels, that makes it interesting a little bit. But it's not one of these games that's really standing out to me as far as, do I really even want to pay attention that much to this game? Mac Jones, he is what he is. Raiders defense isn't a great defense, but is Mac Jones going to expose them? I don't see it really happening. Jordan Love didn't look really good against that defense on Monday night. And I think Jordan Love is, maybe he's on that same level of Mac Jones right now, or even a little better than Mac Jones. So I don't see Mac Jones really like taking advantage of that Raiders defense by any means. And that Patriots defense is banged up. Are they going to be able to stop Devontae Adams? We know Bill's going to be scheming up for it, doing everything he can. I mean, that's what he does. He tries to take away your best weapon. But at the same time, you take him out, you still got to stop Josh Jacobs on the ground. Jacoby Myers, former Patriot, he's looked good for the Raiders. Right now the Raiders are giving up 3. If I had to take a side, I probably would roll with the Raiders. But just as far as a coaching matchup, it's a disadvantage for the Raiders as far as that. But at the same time, talked about last episode, the Patriots just don't have a good roster. So how far is coaching really going to take you when you don't have the guys on the field to carry out, what you plan on doing all week? So not leaning a particular side with this, not particularly interested in this game. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm going to get you interested in this one, Piet. Mark this down as one of my juicy bets of the week. First one, not even on a watch, just bet it. All right, ride with me, boys. Here we go. So, Vegas, they're given 3, right? So, Patriots are +3, over-unders 41. Dogs, coming off of a shutout, are 44-26 against the spread since 2005. The Patriots were shut out last week against that Saints defense we just talked about, but that is a 63% win percentage there against the spread. Road dogs off of a loss of 20 or more are 50-26 against the spread. I love Belichick here. I don't think, there's no way he gets beat like that. Coming off of those 2 losses, he's going against McDaniels. That might be the most interesting matchup is Belichick versus McDaniels here, right? I think that this is just the spot that I really like the Patriots in for no reason other than them being a dog here, right? Teams that score 3 points or fewer in back-to-back games, which has only happened 8 times over the last 20 years, by the way. That next game, those teams are 7-1 against the spread. Love the spot here for the Patriots against the team and a coach who typically just, it almost seems like McDaniels is just trying to lose, right? I feel like there's been games where it's like either in a situation where you just take the field goal, he goes for it, right? Or in a situation where you're like, bro, go for this. It's I think it was last week against the Packers, right?
Yes.
It was like a 4th and short. You go for that almost 10 out of 10 times. He decides to kick the field goal.
The game.
Right. Could have ended the game. He decides to kick the long field goal. They miss. And if you don't get it, right, you don't get the first down there, like, what does it hurt? So either way, I like the Patriots here. I love Belichick here. It's really the main thing. So I'm going to go with the Patriots. I'm going to bump it up to plus 3.5. I don't know how you feel in general about taking bets at right on the rounded number at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't want to push. I pushed last week with the Falcons and it pissed me right off. I'm always going to do that half point. So I either win or lose. I'm not pushing. That's how I bet. I'm going Patriots plus 3.5. Staying away from the over under here though.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how that Patriots team responds.
Juicy.
Moving on to, I mean, I talked about the Titans Ravens game as probably my favorite matchup, but this was a close second when I looked at this slate. Absolutely love this game. We got the 4-1 Detroit Lions visiting the 3-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Honestly, if the Rams weren't playing at the same time, I would be going to this game because I mean Raymond James is right down the road for me, and I'm very excited to see how this game plays out because I think the Bucs are being underlooked. They're also coming off a bye week, um, and right now they're getting 3 at home against a very good Detroit team. Yes, Detroit has looked so good, but I don't think we are understanding how good that this Bucs defense still is. Like, yeah, they lost Tom Brady. The offense isn't going to look the same without Tom Brady. We know that. But the defense is still there. The defense is still playing well. Um, this isn't a big juicy bet for me, but I think I may just throw in Bucs plus 3 at home because I think they're just not getting enough respect right now. I think Baker looks really good right now. He looks like this is his spot. Um, he's very comfortable where he's at right now. Mike Evans is going to play. He's got Godwin. Um, would like to see them get that run game going because it's going to help against that Detroit pass rush. They haven't ran the ball well, but we'll see what comes out of that. As far as Detroit's offense, they've been hot. They got the horses on offense. They got weapons everywhere. But that Bucs defense is good. This team's also coming off a bye. They're going to be super motivated. I'm leaning Tampa plus 3. Not jumping on it right now, but we'll see how it plays out. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, if the Buccaneers were not coming off of a bye week, I probably would have put this as a juicy bet for the Lions. I like the line here for the Lions. I would say I'd bump it down to 2.5. But yeah, this is one of those ones where I'm probably going to do a low play. I don't really know which way to lean here because that Bucks defense has been so solid and Baker has looked very comfortable in that offense. Uh, the Lions obviously look like one of the top teams in the league at this point. I think definitely top. I think if you're looking at power rankings, right? They obviously adjust and alter week to week. I think they've moved ahead of the Cowboys in the NFC, so they're only behind the Eagles and Niners right now. And depending on how you feel about the Eagles, maybe you push the Lions ahead of the Eagles, but I still have the Eagles ahead of the Lions for power rankings. But either way, I don't really know which way to lean here. This is probably going to be one that I keep a close eye on closer to Sunday. And, maybe I end up taking the Lions at minus 2.5, but we'll see how that line moves. If it moves up though, if that moves in the Bucks' favor and it gets to 3.5 or 4, then I probably will side with the Bucks.
Over under sitting at 42.5. Might have to throw in an under there too, just because I think people don't understand how good these two defenses are.
Yeah.
But something to monitor as far as those lines go, like you said. Moving on, we got the 1-4 Arizona Cardinals visiting the 2-3 Los Angeles Rams. Rams are giving up 7 at home. From a fan perspective, as the Rams, I think we looked good overall last week, but talked about a couple things got away from us, especially that offensive line against a great Eagles front. And we just didn't have the guys defensively to hang with, A.J. Brown or that run game. going into this matchup, it's a completely different team. We're talking about Arizona with Josh Dobbs. Yeah, they've overperformed to this point, but James Conner's out, and there's no AJ Brown, there's no Devontae Smith to worry about. We got Hollywood Brown that we're gonna have to game plan for. But other than that, I really like the Rams' chances in this game. I don't know about giving up 7 points per se, but as a fan of the Rams, I'm really excited to see that. I think this is going to be a big game for Stafford. I think it's going to be a big game for Kupp. I think it's going to be a big game for Puka. I think we can get the run game going with Kyren Williams. Just one of those games where we can use this opportunity to get back on track and to get guys into a rhythm. And further implement that chemistry with these young guys, and also getting Cooper Kupp back in the thick of things. As far as the defense goes, we're young, but we're not playing against the Eagles, and it's another week for us to grow as a defense, as a unit. I don't love anything as far as betting goes this game. How about you?
Yeah, not a huge fan of betting on this one either. If anything, I'll probably throw a play in on the over under. If you really, really do like the Rams in this, like I of course think the Rams are going to win, but yeah, them being at -7 in LA, it's kind of a tough number to cover, especially the interdivision matchup here. Both teams know each other pretty well. I could see the way the Rams are throwing the ball another week with Kupp back practicing, rebuilding that chemistry with Stafford. I could see them hitting deep shots in this game and putting up 30 on that Cardinals defense, which I don't think is like a huge stretch. I think that they can put up 30 to 34, and then Arizona just being able to kind of spread it out. Is Connor going to play?
No.
I don't know. You might have mentioned that. I might have missed it, but yeah. So Connor's out. So I don't know. Like you did mention though, which I heard, they have been kind of overperforming as an offense. But yeah, maybe I tease the over under here by 6 and bump it down to like 43 or 43 and a half, and then take the over on that. But that's the only thing I really like here is maybe I'm not going to make a huge play on this one. Probably a low play. I might even go Rams money line and then an over on the tees. But yeah, one of those ones I'm not super confident in.
Yeah, 7 is tough. We're talking about a division matchup, like you said. But that front that the Rams have, we don't have to worry about Jalen Carter again, and all those guys. Yeah. So it's gonna be a different week. I think Stafford's comfortable this week, and I think he goes out there and he just balls out. Moving on to a game I do have a strong lean on is the 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles visiting the 2-3 New York Jets. Right now, the Eagles are giving up 7 on the road, and I absolutely love it. Love it.
Yep.
Love it. Big juicy bet. Talked about the Eagles last week. Came out in that second half. They look great. Defense really stood up. Talk about the Jets. They went on the road in Denver. They got that run game going. This is just an awful matchup for the Jets. I think it might be the worst matchup that you could have for the New York Jets, because I think in order for Zach Wilson to do anything, you have to establish that run game, and I don't think they're going to be able to run it at all on this Eagles defense. I think the Eagles defense knows that the Jets have to run the ball if they're going to do anything on offense. And let's be real, is that Jets defense going to hold up long enough throughout this game to keep this game close? I just don't see it happening. I thought this game being under 10 was just a testament of how good that the Jets defense is. But I could see this being real ugly if that front, the Jets O-line is not good. They're banged up. that front getting to Zach Wilson because they're not going to be able to run the ball is going to be the main factor in this. Yes, the Eagles have given up. Their weakness right now as a team is their pass defense, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the Jets aren't going to beat you through the air. They're just not. And if they even try to, you got those guys on the front against a bad O-line, and they could just completely wreck the game. So it's like, do you even want to put Zach Wilson back so many times against this front and letting those guys eat? So I absolutely I got the Eagles -7 in this game. What about you?
Yeah, this is one of those ones I saw the initial line. I think when I first saw it, it was Philly at -6.5, and I was like, I can't believe that this isn't a bit higher, especially with Vera Tucker out for the Jets, who's been probably their best lineman so far this year.
By far.
Um, yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball like you mentioned. They're going to have to throw. That defense is going to get after them. This could be in that same ballpark with the Niners Browns game as far as just absolutely laying a stomping on them. The Jets are they find a way to make games interesting, right? I think that in this you look at, okay, can they make this first half interesting? Right? They're not going to hold out over the course of 60 minutes, maybe 30 they do. So I think an interesting bet you could look for, if you can find it, is like a first half spread, maybe take something under 7 in the first half, but I don't see the Eagles, winning by less than 2 possessions. Yeah, I could see. I don't want to say quite 2 possessions. I know it's like those 17 points, but it's all. I think they're going to win by a lot more than 7 here. So I do love this line at -6.5 to -7.5, whatever you can get it at. I would do it. The over under here at 40. This is going to be in New York. I don't know how the weather's going to be. I haven't looked at that yet. But that over under at 40 is going to be a tough one. I could see the Eagles putting up just probably 30, but that's mostly going to be because of a field position battle. That Jets defense is stingy. They are very good, but I think that the Jets offense is really going to hinder that Jets defense this week, and you'll kind of see the Eagles offense take advantage of that.
Yeah, I absolutely love this game. Big juicy bet. All right, Sunday night football. The 1-4 New York Giants at the 3-2 Buffalo Bills. No Daniel Jones for the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
The spread right now is at 15 points. Ooh, this is going to be a party, absolute party in Buffalo Sunday night. I mean, poor Brian Dable making his return to Buffalo with these conditions. He doesn't even have his quarterback playing now. Who knows? Maybe they're better without him. But I don't know. I don't know what to like. This is a really good get back game for Buffalo after how they struggled in London, and I just think they're about to absolutely take it out on a New York Giants team who is not good. They're not a good football team, and they've gone through a lot as a team. I think this game could be over at the end of the first quarter. I have no hope for the Giants. I don't know about. I mean, 15 is a huge number. Talking about
That's a lot.
NFL football, 15 is a huge number. I don't know if I'm going to end up. I probably won't end up betting on this game, but it will be one of those Sunday night games where you're going to bed early because it's going to be a complete shit show in Buffalo, a complete party for them. Really good get back game for Buffalo. What do you think on this one?
Yeah, I think that 15 is just too much. The Giants, I'm pretty sure they get Barkley back this week. And that's going to be a huge boost to their offense. At this point, the way that Daniel Jones has been playing, I don't think that, Tyrod Taylor is a huge downgrade. Plus, Tyrod used to play for Buffalo. Sort of a get-back game, if you will. The Bills are coming back from London, so they didn't do well traveling to London. Are they going to do well traveling back from London? I know this is going to be a home game for them. We're going to have some friends and family who are going to be attending this game. I personally will not. I just think 15 is too much. I think 15 is just too much here. I probably will end up taking the Giants. I might bump them up to 17.5 just in case this goes how we think it's going to go. But I think that with Barkley, they're going to try to slow the game down. Dable, this question, yeah. I mean, if Barkley plays, then I do like this number for the Giants. If Barkley doesn't play, I'm going to have to rethink. So this might be another watch game for me, just to wait till Sunday, see how the injury report plays out. But yeah, just a lot of points for the Bills. Oh, and not to mention, the Bills with the injuries that they've had to that defense, it could just make things a little more interesting. Milano out for the year, Tre'Davious White out for the year, Jones out for the year. Like, they just have a lot of key guys who are banged up, and it's really unfortunate because going into the year, Buffalo was kind of one of those few favorites out in the AFC, I would think. And then especially after how they played against Miami, you felt really good. If you're a Buffalo fan, you felt really good about where the team was at moving forward. And then you just had injury after injury after injury to that defensive unit. And it's tough, especially when you felt like this was going to be a year. This could be a year the way the Chiefs have looked down a little bit. I know they're 5-1, but not the same Chiefs team that you're used to seeing out of the gate. I feel like Buffalo fans were really up after that Miami game, and those injuries are a little derailing. So with that being said, I just do feel like 15 points is too much, especially if Barkley ends up playing.
Right. Either way, not looking like a very entertaining game Sunday night.
No,
I wish
not at all.
I wish we could start implementing these flexes early in the season, because this is one where you want, like, for the fans of Buffalo, good for them getting a Sunday night home game, but for the rest of the NFL fans across the country or the world, I mean, this is not entertaining spot. But we'll see what happens with that. Moving on to cap off is Monday Night Football. Your 3-2 Dallas Cowboys, coming off that whomping in San Fran last week, get another primetime game at LA, visiting the 2-2 LA Chargers, coming off of a bye. Right now, Dallas is giving up 2. Kellen Moore against his old team.
Interesting.
Dallas's offense, I think I let them get away with a little too much last episode. I don't think I discussed enough how their offense has looked this year. I think the defense has absolutely carried that team. I don't think Mike McCarthy taking over that offense, I don't think it's made them better. I don't see the explosive plays anymore. You talk about the main reason why he got rid of Kellen Moore is because, well, Kellen Moore, yeah, he puts up good stats and he puts up the points and does this and that, but he doesn't play to our strength as a team. He doesn't necessarily always put us in the right spot as a team to win football games. I just think that's complete bullshit, because your offense is out there to perform, to do it. You got all these guys. You got Tony Pollard, you got CeeDee Lamb, now you got Brandon Cooks, you got Gallup, you got some really good young tight ends. You got Dak Prescott, who you're paying a boatload of money to. Need to see more from that Cowboys offense. It's not been good. And they've gotten away with it, though. They've gotten away with it throughout this part of the season because that defense has carried them. But we saw it in San Fran. Like, yeah, San Fran's a great defense, but that offense couldn't even make it a game. Like, that game was over relatively early. This week, you're not playing against a defense like the Niners. You're playing against the Chargers defense and a coach who, I mean, do they even know what they're doing right now in LA? Like, yeah, they pulled 2 wins out of their asses, but that's a team that's just, they have so many great players and they continue to underperform. I'm interested to see Monday night how the Cowboys are going to look, particularly that offense. Like, we got to get it going here. We got to get Tony Pollard going. We got to get CeeDee Lamb going. We got to get Michael Gallup going. We got to get Brandon Cooks going. We got to get Dak some confidence. As far as the Chargers go, Justin Herbert is unbelievable. I don't think we've really talked enough about him as we started this podcast. It's still early in the process. Plus, they had a bye week last week. So, haven't talked a ton about the Chargers. Eckler, I think, is back this week. He's questionable at this point, so they might be getting him back. Either way, this is gonna be a fun game to watch for me. One of the more intriguing games of the week is this Monday night matchup, Cowboys Chargers. I don't lean a particular side. Let's see what the over under is.
51.
Over under is 51. Yeah, I don't love anything about this game from a betting standpoint, but I do love this game as a fan standpoint. I'm excited to see how the Cowboys respond because they got their asses kicked, and the Chargers are coming off a bye, so they're going to be ready for them. What do you think on this one?
Yeah, Cowboys minus 2.5, over under 51. This game is in LA. There's probably going to be a lot of Cowboys fans there, so it won't feel like so much of an away game. But to your point, that offense for Dallas has been underwhelming, to say the least. Kind of talked about it on the last episode after they got their asses kicked by San Fran. The defense has absolutely carried them this year, but they just had a big loss. They just put Leighton Vander Esch on the IR, so he's going to be out at least 4 to 6 weeks. They just signed Rashaan Evans to try to help with some of that linebacker depth, but they haven't had a whole lot of depth. So it's really, you might see Parsons kind of play a little more linebacker in this game than you have seen all year. So you might see a little bit of how they looked last year, or what you'll see is a lot more of Jaron Kearse up in the box. I like this from a points perspective. I think that, Kellen Moore going against his old team, I can see the Chargers putting up 30 points here. But I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't. Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys offense, they got to get it going. Like you mentioned, they've got too much talent on the offensive side of the ball. Their offensive line is healthy-ish, as healthy as it has been all year. I can't really picture them losing this game because the Chargers just find ways to lose. That's really what it boils down to, right? I think that this is more of like a money line play for Dallas, and maybe tease the over under, bump it down to 45 and take the over. Like if the Cowboys offense was clicking, this would be an easy over for me. They're not. If the number was more so around like 44.5 to 45, I think it'd be an easy over. But yeah, to those points, I just can't really lean one way or the other. I do think I'm going to end up taking Cowboys money line, teasing that over under down to 45, and then taking the over, probably 44.5, and then I'll take the over on that. But yeah, this is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch.
You excited? You worried? What are you feeling as a Cowboys fan?
Anxious.
Yeah.
Anxious to see how the offense, just the team in general, responds, right? They had the one embarrassing loss to Arizona, and then they came out and whooped the Patriots, but then the Patriots got whooped again by the Saints, so then that whooping doesn't look as good as it did in the moment. And then, they haven't been tested all year until that Niners game, and then they got their ass kicked. So I think this is going to be a real good test for their team overall, especially their defense, trying to bounce back. Like I mentioned, Vander Esch going out is actually a really big loss for them because out of all positions on the defense, all units, their linebacker unit is the probably has the least amount of depth. So that's a big hit for them. He was their signal caller this year as well. So I don't know who that dude is going to go to. Most likely either Curse or Malik Hooker. It's just a tough matchup for their defense. The Chargers offense has a lot of talent. Is Eckler's back?
I believe so. I believe so.
You know, they're going to have a really tough time stopping Eckler. Yeah, it's anxious. Anxious is my feeling leading up into it. I think that Dak has received a lot of, he's heard a lot of noise since that Niners loss, and it's credible. It's fair. The dude in what people would consider big games has been kind of a fold. He's gotta step up and win a game that they should win.
Right. And to your point earlier, the Chargers continue to just find ways to lose games. I mean, that's what Brandon Staley he's been known to do, is to lose games. I mean, Brandon Staley continues to prove that. So, I mean, that's should be a good game though. I'm excited for that. Hopefully, it's going to be a barn burner to the end. Wrapping up, let's go through our big juicy bets for the people. 7-1 last week. So ride the hot hand, follow your boys, hop on. For me, I got Ravens Titans in London under 42, Seattle Seahawks +3 in Cincinnati, Philadelphia Eagles -7 at the Jets, and the San Francisco 49ers -10 at Cleveland, with a bonus juicy bet. Jordan Addison, anytime touchdown score for the Vikings at Chicago.
Love that. My juicy bets are, we're kind of on a watch here. I wish I was able to confirm 3 or 4 of them, but at the moment I'm not. But I do have that Carolina Dolphins on a juicy watch. I think that the Carolina getting 13.5. If that line gets bumped in Carolina's favor to 14.5, I think you jump all over it. But watch for the weather and watch for the injury report to see if Carolina gets some of those D-backs back this Sunday. And if so, mark that down as a juicy bet, but that's on the juicy watch. The Vikings Bears over, that is one of my juicy bets. And then I had the Patriots at +3.5 as a juicy bet. And then I believe that kind of caps it off. So that's 2 for me that I can mark down. I have the Miami and Carolina on a watch. And then I do agree though with that Eagles line. That is a juicy one as well.
All right. Well, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube, follow our Spotify account, follow Facebook, Instagram, New Score Podcast. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy some college football. Enjoy some NHL. Enjoy some MLB. Enjoy some NFL. I mean, we got everything we need right now in the sports world. So we will be back next week with a recap of all these games. We'll have plenty for you, and we will also review our big juicy bets for you. So that's all we got. Goodbye.